Oh, we're back. Hello.
We're here.
We're here.
Kelly, welcome back to another morning in beautiful Paris.
In beautiful Paris. We were talking, me and Ella went to meet with one of the athletes this morning, who you'll hear from today. And we were like, how are the Olympics still happening? I get it. We actually it's still like, we're just hitting track. We're just hitting some of the finals.
Yeah.
Like there are athletes who are like just getting to do their thing, but it's been like, we're on day 10, 11, something like that. Who knows?
One of those things. I actually went from feeling a couple days ago, like, I'm like, oh, being in Paris with the giant and watching sports every day could be like my perfect life, to like, okay, when is it over?
Yeah.
But that has something to do with getting sick, not to like drag everything, not to drag down the whole vibe.
Sure. But you went to, we've had so much sportsing to go to, and I went to a lot of sportsing while you guys were sick. And then yesterday we had to split up. And so you went to 3-on-3 basketball last night.
Yeah. So I was back in action, went to the urban park for the first time, which was kind of as cool as Steve said it was. And I learned, okay, first of all, it's not called 3x3 or 3-on-3 or any of the things that we want to call it.
What is it called?
It's 3x3.
3x3.
Yes, because that's apparently when you're urban. It's really like, it's like a funny thing to see like the Olympics try to like co-opt urban culture in a way. Like,
yeah, I gotta say, we're gonna do a what's the word, a timeout here, where I think that this whole like, we got to get young viewers, and they're like, you know what we'll do? We'll like put our hat on backwards. That'll trick them into thinking we're young. Like that doesn't work, right? Like that's not a thing that works. And so I don't actually think this whole like, the way to attract young viewers is to like pretend that we're doing young things. I think when you look at what's actually been successful this year, and like, why is the Olympics having more viewership than ever? It's like embracing what it does well, but adapting it to the modern, right? Like embracing, like, we will have more social coverage and more internet coverage and have people who know how to do that, not just be like, let's add a new sport that the kids will like.
Well, okay. So I kind of like, it's interesting because I think I agree with the adding of the new sports. For example, like that, like the rugby sevens, the 3x3, watching it yesterday. It's fast and furious and exciting, like the sevens. And like they play in 10 minutes, not like they just play for 10 minutes.
They play at 21.
Like, they play 2:21 or 10 minutes, whichever comes first, but typically 10 minutes comes first.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The scores were like this. I watched 4 games. I didn't see anyone go.
Well, I think you're at the finals. I think generally they hit 21 first in the prelims.
Oh, did they? Interesting. Yeah, I can see. So anyway, that's how it's like run. So it's like fast and furious. You can't take your eyes off it, which is really cool. Okay. So the thing that I think is funny is that like, they had a DJ there, like Steve said, right? And then they have like a French guy and an English speaking guy. I don't know where he's from. Like basically doing the commentary and DJing and like saying bad puns. Yeah. Essentially. Like, because you have to keep like whatever that commentary is, it's like has to be high. Yeah. And it has to be clean, the commentary. And it has to like be so that like whatever he would just say, like whatever word rhymed with like I did not hear one single good
joke. We'll talk about it compared to track in a second, but the announcer at one point in track was trying to get the crowd pumped up. He went, "Are you still in your seat? I certainly am not." And it was like, didn't quite have the same like urban vibe to it.
Yeah. Like at one point the guy, like I'm trying to think of examples to like bring this home, and I'm really bad at remembering things, but like at one point I remember him saying like, she flipped it like a spatula. Right. What?
That's like classic American basketball where you're like, obviously the old school one's always like, and he went downtown, but then you like have to have all the variations of that was so far, it could have been whatever, right? Like that is like very classic American street basketball.
And I actually like felt for these guys having to do that for like 6 hours. Yeah.
You wonder at what point they start reusing jokes where they're like, the audience has probably changed.
I'm sure that they do. But like with this long a stretch of like 3x3 basketball, it was interesting. The other thing that was super cool was that the like warm-up area for the basketball was right beside the stadium. So if you were just like in the urban park milling around, like, so when we finished watching the bronze medal match, we like headed out of the stands and you could see like the two teams that were in the gold medal
Preparing.
match warming up. Just like like I was standing there and they were, and so there's not many sports in the Olympics where you
can just see them,
get to see especially that close. Like I think at swimming, for example, when we arrived, they were like just finishing the warm up. Like there were just a couple swimmers getting out or whatever, but you don't normally get to see that.
No. And I think a lot of the big venues have the warm-up area somewhere separate, like the track or the swimming, they have like another warm-up pool or somewhere else. But how did the games actually go? I hear Canada lost.
I know. It was like, so we were like one of the gold medal favorites for sure coming in.
We personally, Sarah.
Yeah. 3x3 basketball. Canada. Oh, you cannot come at me for being patriotic.
No. It's funny because I always say the US. I almost never say we, even though I'm probably like the most American person in Paris right now. No, that's not true. I met some of the most American people in Paris. But everyone always says that in sports. They always say we, like as if I have anything to do with it at all. Yeah. So yes, we the Canadians. Yeah, we were definitely in, like, we were like number one in shooting going into the tournament. Like we had these good stats. We're also a team that like tends to foul a lot, and the refs were like really. Oh, really?
Yeah.
I feel like you got to let that shit slide in street ball.
Oh yeah, they did, but still, like afterwards, that's the talk. It's like, oh, the officiating's not great.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we lost the semifinal round to Germany. So Germany went on to the gold medal round, and then we were against the US
in the bronze.
And it was like we led for most of the game. And this is what I mean. It's like so fast. Like it's like one team's up, the next team's up, or you can go like 1-2 on like a basket and then a real quick another basket. Right. So you're like up and then you're down and then you're up.
I do feel like that's how basketball works. And I have sometimes like at regular, old person basketball, old school basketball felt like it's just arbitrary when the time ends, who's up. Because it just goes back and forth. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, this is okay. It's a little bit like that. But like this is where, because there's only one, it's not even a half court. It's just 3 to the 3-point line and a little beyond, right? In this tiny little court. And then you like, and then basically like if you get the ball, like if you get the ball in the rebound, you just take it out. You could just turn around and shoot a 3. Like immediately score after they score. You know, so that's why it gets like fast and furious at the end, because they stop taking their time of like passing it around. They're just shooting. Interesting. Yeah.
So you think this is the hot new sport?
I think
the new hot sport.
I think it is. I think it is a hot new sport. Hot sport.
Yeah, I mean the whole like how many sports should the Olympics keep adding? I'm like. Obviously, this is like an ongoing conversation and they don't care what I think. But I am deeply split because, like, on the one hand, of course, there shouldn't be a moratorium for life. Like, of course, we should add. But on the other hand, it does feel sometimes like we're just like we get on a roll where like just start adding like all these things that you're like, I don't know if this is going to age well. Right. And then it's like the Olympics also, like, in some ways, I also kind of firmly believe that the things in the Olympics should be the pinnacle of that sport. Like, I think it's weird when we have like baseball. Or like soccer, where like they have the like men's soccer is the World Cup, and like, but then you feel very split because for the women, softball, the Olympics is still the pinnacle, and so then when you take out baseball and you take out softball, you're like, well, now the women got screwed because they don't have something else. So I do think sometimes we like got to use a little more common sense here. Yeah, but I do feel like it's a weird balance we're at right now.
Yeah, I think what will happen now with the 3x3 is they'll start to have a league in the US.
They do have a league coming. They do have a league coming next year. Yeah.
So I think like it could work both ways, because it does, even in triathlon, being in the Olympics helped us to solidify the sport. So it can work both ways. If it doesn't work, like if they put triathlon in the Olympics and then nobody cared about it,
right? Like it'd be like,
maybe they should have let it go.
Like you talk to the breakers, the break dancers, and they're kind of like a little ambivalent about it being in the Olympics for sure. They're like, what was the quote somebody told me? Breaking doesn't need the Olympics. Oh, and I was like, okay, like, yeah, sure. So we'll see.
We will see.
We will see. That is our deep insight. But we did have to split up last night. There's just so many sports to go to. And so me and Ella went to track. And after we hear from our partners, Ella's going to come on and we're going to talk about the crazy world records at track last night.
If you're like us, you're totally inspired by Katie Ledecky and Summer McIntosh and more ready than ever to up your swim training. So let's take a minute to talk about hair and skincare for swimmers. You've probably asked yourself questions like, how can I keep my hair healthy and hydrated as a swimmer? How can I avoid my skin feeling itchy and dry after being in the pool? And how can I get rid of those pesky goggle marks around my eyes? Enter TryHard. TryHard has pre- and post-swim solutions designed to reduce the absorption of pool and ocean chemicals into your hair and skin. We love using TryHard's pre- and post-swim conditioner before and after every swim to keep our hair feeling great. TryHard also has a bunch of other products useful for swimmers, like their pre- and post-swim eye gel, which totally works for getting rid of those pesky goggle marks and puffy eye feeling, while providing hydration and a cooling effect. TryHard products are vegan, dermatologically tested, and packaged in recycled plastic. Whether you're swimming in the pool, the ocean, or maybe even the Seine, take care of your hair and skin with TryHard. Use the code FEISTYGAMES for 22% off site-wide at tryhard.co. Plus, you'll get an extra 5% off during sales on top of the already discounted price. That's Feisty Games for 22% off at tryhard.co. Historically, athletic footwear has been designed, researched, and tested for men. Brands have relied on the shrink it and pink it approach to sell male shoes to female customers. That's why we are so excited Heddas is working with us on our Paris coverage. Heddas is building high-performance, technical running shoes for women from the ground up. They operate from a purely female perspective, which we love, and their mission is to ensure the female running experience gets the funding, research, and recognition it deserves. Heddas has unlocked the science behind women's biomechanics through dedicated research and creates better shoes for women's performance. Some of Heddas' special features include a lower ankle collar to reduce rubbing on women's ankle bones, a breathable mesh toe box to allow for ventilation and accommodate female toe shape, and a supercritical foam and Pebex plate midsole to keep our legs going when the going gets tough. Heddas has 3 shoe models designed for different sessions: the Alma Cruise for long runs, the Alma Tempo for training days, and the Alma Speed for pushing the pace. Celebrate the outstanding performances at the Olympics with your own pair of Heddas. Use the code FEISTY20 for 20% off at heddas.com. That's FEISTY20 for 20% off at heddas.com.
All right, we have a special guest coming around from behind the screen right now to join us. Ella and I went to track last night, and I was like, I think we picked it originally because it was 5,000 women's and 800.
Yep, that's right.
And then what else? But since we're like, the big thing ended up being last night was the men's pole vault, which we're talking about second world record. So I've never seen a pole vault world record before, and like basically the whole stadium just like waits.
Yeah, it was crazy. The guy had the stadium captive for sure. Yes. And we were lucky because our seats were facing the pole vault so that we had the perfect seats to watch it. And I think the highlight for me was when he was dictating the clapping speed of the entire stadium.
He made us like restart our clapping. He was like, that was too fast. Start again.
Yeah, exactly. So it was incredible to see. Yeah. And just the energy of the stadium when he got that world record was crazy.
Yeah, this guy, I mean, so he only jumped like maybe 3 or 4 times throughout the whole competition because he was so good that he just didn't have to. And then after everyone else was out, he like comes in and is like, all right, put it at Olympic record height, clears that first try. And then he's like, all right, just skip all the way ahead to world record height. And then he failed the first 2 attempts, just barely. And then on the third, like all the running events were done. Victory ceremonies were done. Everyone was still just like waiting.
Yeah, that was what was, I think, it was surprising to see how many people stayed in the stadium. Like I expected that after he missed the first attempt, okay, people are going to start leaving, but really everyone stayed.
Everyone stayed. Yeah. And I mean, you got it on your phone when he actually made that last one, but you like dropped your phone too because everyone started jumping up and down.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Screaming.
Yeah. He did jump 6.25 meters. Which is, I don't know how much in feet. It's a lot.
Yeah, I think like if you picture a pole vaulting competition, just imagine the pole at almost the very top of the pillars. And that's how high he went. So
the women having gone to pole vault, they're also very, very good, Katie Moon. And so I will be excited to see how that goes. But we also saw the 5,000 meter. And I feel like we need to talk about, so it ended up being all controversial. Mm-hmm. They finish, Beatrice Chebet won, Faith Kipyegon was second. Sifan Hassan was third. And then we're like, they don't even say anything. And I'm like looking at the results to see how the Americans did. And on my phone, it says Faith Kipyegon was DQ'd. And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and I think we've noticed that at track that
They don't tell you what's going on.
especially when you only understand English, you miss a lot of information for sure.
A lot of
Like someone gets disqualified and you don't hear anything about it when you're sitting in the stands.
No.
So it's different than other sporting events you'd go
The
to.
other thing was like she was apparently disqualified for like her and one of the Ethiopians were like pushing each other. Did you see that happen in the race?
No. And we were talking about how it's so different from triathlon. Like in triathlon, there's athletes swimming over each other, like taking each other out and on the bike, and we just keep going and carry on. And
even in the 5K, like somebody stepped on the line and they called them all back to like clean start. And in triathlon, like half the field went before the gun, and they were like, close enough.
Yeah, so very different cultures. Every sport has a culture, right? Yeah.
Tracks is a little officious, yeah. So that was, but it was cool. The 5K was fast. Sifan Hassan did her first of her 3.
Yep.
She only has, what does she have left now? The 10K and the marathon.
She's doing the marathon.
No, 15. Yeah, she's doing the marathon. I can't remember if she picked the 15 or the 10 still to go. It's a lot of running. Her quotes after were like, "Why did I do this?"
Yeah, and we noticed she was wearing compression socks, and we were wondering if that might be to keep the legs fresh for all her events.
Yeah. She was good, and then the 800 was the other exciting one. Keely Hodgkinson, the British girl, and we all wish Mo hadn't fallen in the trials, and we could have seen that. That would have been great, but it was still pretty exciting. It was exciting. Like track is exciting. Being able to see the start, the middle, and the end of a race is very, very cool. Like being out there somewhere on the bike course. Exactly. So it's very exciting to get to watch the entire race. The entire race. Especially those short ones. The entire stadium gets into it. Everyone's standing on their feet cheering. They are, especially when there's a French athlete. I will say the track stadium gets very intense when there's a French athlete. Very. My only complaint is there should be more excitement crammed in there. There should be more events in track. There's too much standing around. There is. A lot of standing around. Although I feel like yesterday we saw some exciting events. There was also the U.S. woman who won discus. So that was exciting. Valerie Altman. Yep. She crushed it. The discus was. Yeah, she threw like 2 meters further than anyone else, which is like a lot of meters. Yeah. We also, this is like one of those seats are very uncomfortable, right? They are. Like, they're think very about uncomfortable. A stadium you don't understand how uncomfortable this is. This is the primary thing you think about for like 3 hours. And we're not that tall. So I feel for people that are tall because the seats really only come up like 1/5 of your back. They hit you like right in that lower lumbar, like where you're just like, oh, but if you lean back, you hit the person behind you. It's a whole thing, guys. Apparently this stadium was built for the 1998 World Cup. When France hosted the World Cup, and they've just like remodeled and redone it. They did not redo the seats. No. They have reused a lot of we talked about this a bunch, but like a lot of the venues are like they really didn't build like any new venues for the Olympics. They just like remodeled or redid a lot of existing venues, which is obviously like really cool from a sustainability perspective and all that. It does give it like kind of a odd feel. I guess like in LA, we have a lot of old Olympic venues that we use now for like kids swim lessons, and it does feel kind of like that. You're kind of like, oh, are we going to like an old Olympic venue? But it's just like they've just like redone it. So it's cool though. It's good. And the athlete village is out by the track stadium too. Yes, it is. We haven't hunted down or lurked outside yet, but that's what we hear. That's what we're going to do. Yeah. We are tracking down athletes now. Now that they're done, we're like on the case. We're on the hunt. We did see, because the athlete village is out by the track stadium. We did see like where the warm up area is for the athletes. They come in like from a different way. You could see how, the rumor that like Sha'Carri and Shelly-Ann got stuck behind barricades. You could see how it happens. Yeah. There's a lot of barricades in France, as Kelly has shared on the podcast already. But also like the athlete warm up area is like in this distinct area. And if you like showed up to it from like the wrong side, you could see how they'd be like, no, totally. It's like, not possible. The stadium is so big. It almost takes about 20 minutes to walk around. So you could see how if you get lost in the barricades somehow, or you're going the wrong way, like you couldn't make it to the stadium in time. That would be heartbreaking. That's what I think. Yeah. So I think they ended up having to do the like walk all the way around. Oh my God. You also, there's this like, it's like I don't know, what is it? A K? 2K from the train station to the stadium. We've done. It's a trek. I've done like 8 times already. Yeah. The most, it's like, again, behind the scenes, the most notable thing on this walk is the string of female urinals. Yeah. As you're walking, they're like described.
Yeah.
Female.
Yeah, and there's diagrams.
There are diagrams
you're
on
not
the
supposed to use
outside.
toilet paper. That was my main takeaway, I
The whole
think.
thing. It's to speed. Sarah's giving us a look. It's to speed the peeing along in the line. So, it's the little things that really make
The Olympics
the
get
Olympics,
that feeling.
yeah,
That magical feeling.
organization come together. But the point is, we did see some athletes out in the warm-up area. Saw a bunch of, because we went had to go in that on that side of the stadium this time. I saw a bunch of the teams and a bunch of the coaches, and we are, now that people are starting to wrap up their events, we have been tracking down athletes, getting some interviews. Didn't want to bother them before, and so this morning, Ella and I went out and talked to one of the triathletes.
Yeah, the first woman to qualify for the triathlon from Guam.
Mm-hmm. And Manami Inajima, she they have a triathlon federation in Guam, but they had never sent athletes to World Cup races. So she had to figure all of that out, how the points work. And then she was one of the athletes we saw crash in that corner.
Yeah, so many athletes went down in that corner. So yeah, she wasn't alone crashing there, but very disappointing to crash nonetheless.
Yeah, especially at her first Olympics, and the whole island is watching. And so I think she wants to come back in LA, which is practically a home games, right? No, it's a long flight still for her. But we talked to her this morning, because now that she's kind of done, she's touring Paris. So, all right, Guam's first triathlete at the Olympics, is that right?
Yes, that's correct. And the Pacific Islands. So.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So my understanding is you guys you had to start the national federation and figure out how to qualify, and it was you didn't just have to do the triathlon part, you had to do all the figuring it out part too, right?
We have a national federation, but it's more catered to local races and the regional races. So we had absolutely no idea what to do with elite sports, and so we reached out to World Triathlon, and they kind of guided us after a couple of races. So my first, I think, 3 races, I didn't know what I was doing, and I was like, yeah, let's go to this World Cup because it's nearby. And I come second to last. So yeah, it was a steep learning curve.
What was the hardest part about trying to work your way up through the rankings?
First off, don't just go to the hardest race, or with faster people not way above your level, and just figuring out the intensity from swim to bike. The race itself was so different from long course. Yeah, and then people see the swim, it's kind of brutal. So sometimes learning how to swim in that pack was the major thing.
Cool. All right. So Guam is how big an island? How big?
120 Ks around.
Okay. So that takes you how long to bike all the way around the island?
If you do it fast, it's 4.5 hours.
Okay.
So I have a good route.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And you have been doing most of your training in Guam, right? Okay.
So most of it's solo, or I ride with the boys or my husband on Saturday, and everything else is solo, swimming and all the running. Well, easy runs I run with my friends, but most of the training is solo.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And you were saying there's local races, there's a pretty good triathlon community.
Yes, they're super supportive, and yeah, everyone just cheers me on, and a lot of them, well, Guam's so small, so we all know each other, so whenever we see each other anywhere, yeah, they're super supportive and just wish me good luck.
So were people cheering, since obviously you were the first triathlete, were they cheering at home? Were they watching? How excited was the island?
They were all excited. I got a ton of messages before and then after the crash. They were just shocked at how intense the race is. And I don't think they've ever seen that. So I'm just well, this is what I do. Yeah.
Okay. And then this Olympics, obviously your first Olympics. What's been the coolest part?
Aside from the course and the race, just walking into the athletes village, and you're just surrounded by people like you. I mean, people even gold medalists and stuff. They're just all normal people, and they're so friendly. So I was oh, they're normal people. That's cool.
Everybody always wants to know, what is the village like? How is it a big complex? How do you get around? Yeah. Is there free food everywhere?
Free food. It's a big complex. There's little golf cart looking cars everywhere. There's bikes for us to use to get around, and yeah, it's huge.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How do they assign rooms? Like, who do you room with?
I have no idea, but my support is Megan Foley. She's from USA and she did short course. She's my sports dietitian and she's my roommate. Oh, wow. And we have a good spot like next to Australia. And I don't know if you've seen the Fiji singer or the Fiji rugby guys, the singing in the morning. Yeah, we're like right with them. So it's been cool.
So you got to bring your support person with you.
Yes, because I needed someone to come and support me and, do all the support role, like going to the meetings and stuff, and I didn't have anyone. So it was kind of last minute where I was like, hey, Megan, would you like to come and support me at the Olympics? So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
And so she's your nutritionist, and there's free food everywhere. Like, what are you eating before races? People always want to know, what do the Olympians eat?
A lot of carbs, like rice, pasta, bread. Okay. But I think for the most part we eat normally, except maybe a larger quantity. Sure. So yeah, I'm still looking forward to. Well, the chocolate muffin at the cafeteria is good, and there's a muffin man. Have you seen it? Him? Yeah.
I've heard about the muffin.
Yeah, I'm still trying to find him, and I'm trying to go viral too. So no, just joking. But yeah, all the food is good. Like everyone's just been eating like.
It's like Guam has like a speed limit of like 45 miles an hour.
35. Our speed limit is 35. So we know the drivers who come from the States because sometimes they'll zoom at like over 50 and that's fast for us. Yeah.
Crazy. So when you travel now, obviously you've had to travel a lot for earning points and getting yours. What's the thing that's like the weirdest or that you have to get the most used to when you're traveling?
I guess being away from my husband and dogs, I think that was the hardest because I've always been like a homebody, and for long course, you travel once or twice or before. Right. So yeah, I think that's been the hardest part. But I've never traveled this much, and I think it's crazy, and I don't know how everyone else does it because it's a lot. Like, yeah.
I think they bring their husbands with them. Yes, they do.
No, right? Do they?
Some of them.
Well, my husband has to stay home and watch the dogs, so.
Awesome. So now what are you doing now? What's the plan? Well, obviously right now you're touring Paris, but what are you doing after Paris?
So my goal is LA 2028. I want to finish a race and I want to do well, perform well instead of just kind of participating. So that's the goal. So we're going to make a 4-year plan, and I think I'll do the World Cups towards the end of the year because it's close to home. But if I don't do that, I'll just be training and getting some downtime.
Here at Feisty, we are dedicated to partnering with brands that are mission-driven and having an impact. That's why we are thrilled to be supported by Joni, a company creating game-changing period care for everybody. Many conventional menstrual products rely on plastic made from petroleum, a non-renewable resource. Did you know that in the US, approximately 12 billion pads and 7 billion tampons are discarded annually, and these products generate over 200,000 tons of plastic waste per year? It can take 500 to 800 years for a single petroleum-based plastic disposable pad to decompose due to its materials, and tampons with applicators also contribute to plastic waste, which can take centuries to break down. Joni is dedicated to bring the wasteful and antiquated feminine hygiene industry into the 21st century. Using a design-led approach, Joni's personal care products and commercial dispensers provide the most innovative and accessible period and leak care solutions in the world. Organic and free of harmful levels of chemicals or irritating fragrances, Joni's pads and tampons support menstrual health and the environment, while allocating at least 2% of revenues to break the cycle of period poverty, dismantle menstrual stigmas, and empower periods. Now that's what we call 21st century period care. Ditch uninspiring and irritating feminine hygiene products and say hi to Joni's silky soft, super absorbent, and toxin-free pads and tampons. Joni pads feature a wrapper and protective layer made from cornstarch, a plant-based material, making them biodegradable and compostable in the right conditions. Joni tampons are made with organic cotton. They're compostable, including the wrapper, which is made of cellulose. Choosing sustainable period products isn't just a trend, it's a movement. You can get 10% off your order with the code FEISTY at getjoni.com. That's 10% off at GETJONI.com. joni.com with the code feisty.
All right, Sarah. So we have 5 days left.
5 days left.
And what are we? I mean, there's still some big. I mean, obviously, every day I'm going to say we're still rooting for the U.S. women's soccer team. They still got their game today.
Like they need to make because Canada's out. I can now be like, okay, we still want them in the final because we are attending the gold medal final on Saturday.
I know we've like maybe mentioned this in passing once or twice, but every day you're like trying to pick up tickets. You're like, what tickets are there? What tickets are there? And everyone's on the site, so it like basically it crashes all the time, and it don't look like there are tickets, and you're like, I got them, and then and then you try to click through, and it fails.
And they're like, sorry, not in your card.
Yeah.
My personal favorite is when you click through it on it and it like there's a little walking guy that like tells you where you are in the queue, even just to get in to buy tickets.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a little chaotic, but so we're kind of like we're still looking for tickets. We don't know what we're going to see Thursday and Friday yet, but we are going to diving tomorrow. We have our soccer ones, and you guys got some skateboarding tonight.
Yes, we have tickets to skate park tonight, and I'm learning a little bit. About skating. Yes. So there's 2 different kinds of skateboarding in the Olympics. And one of them is the one with the like kind of half pipe concrete looking things.
Bowl.
Yeah. The bowls where you go around like that kind of thing. And then the other one is with like the stairs.
The street.
Street. That's right. With like stairs and rails and all that kind of stuff.
So you guys are seeing park today.
Yes, we're seeing park, which is like the bowls and the concrete.
The interesting thing, I remember watching it when it was kind of like the first time in Tokyo. And what's so interesting is like, again, I'm sure the explanation from the announcer in the stadium will be fascinating, but because at the time it was like, it looked like they get a certain number of rounds and they all like fall like almost every time. So it's like if you hit one run, you win.
Oh,
it's more like it was like weird, right?
Really?
Because you get so many because your
so
falls don't
so
count
much.
Right? They're very very high risk but high reward, and your falls don't count against you. You just have to nail like. You know what I'm saying? Like you get 3 tries or 2 tries or whatever it is. So it was kind of like just watching a lot of people fall.
Okay.
And you were like,
I love this. I'm so down for this. Okay. I love a sport where there's like such high risk that you're going to fall every time.
Yeah.
And if you hit it, you're going to win.
It was also one of the things where like the men's was all these like older skaters, 30, 20, in their 20s. And the girls is like legit girls. It's like 12-year-olds and 14-year-olds and 16-year-olds. Because they kind of have come up into this sport.
Right. Yeah. So we're going to see the women's, obviously, gold medal. We're going to see like the medal rounds.
Obviously, we go to the gold
obviously. Yeah. I'm
going to water polo.
Nice.
And that'll be fun. And then you guys are going to go to the Team Canada house.
Oh, yeah. So we're trying to get some tickets for our Team Canada house. So we can do like a comparison of houses.
And I went to the Club Ireland or whatever they're calling it, House Ireland, last night with Steve. So then we can compare houses tomorrow.
Okay, we'll compare houses. I have questions with the Ireland house, but I'm going to save those for tomorrow.
It was next to Moulin Rouge.
Oh, okay.
There you go. That's your.
That's all I need to know.
That's your
for
teaser.
Now.
Yeah,
Till tomorrow.
And then I do think we're still going to try and go. With the sickness we didn't go over the weekend. To the Champions Park where like the medal winners come every night because I do want to see like everybody coming out.
Yeah,
it'll be cool.
On the catwalk.
Exactly. So stay tuned for more athletes and fans. We're going to talk to